Yes, I'm Beth Rudolf. I'm Legal Services Consultant for Move With Us, and I'm here today to talk to you about the state of the conveyancing market, some of the challenges that we have all faced, talk about what we're doing, hopefully, as an industry to address these challenges, and what technology has as a part to play in this. So, first off, what do you think? You tell me, how is the conveyancing market, how is the conveyancing process? So by a show of hands, who thinks it's absolutely fantastic, so easy, everybody understands it, it's no problem at all? No one? Okay. So how about it's so-so, no worse, no better? Anybody? Okay. Oh, yeah, there's a few there. So that's worrying. So how many of us think it's absolutely diabolical and what the hell's going on? Okay, well, hopefully I will be able to explain why we are where we are, how we got there, and tell you a few bits about how it is all going to get a bit better, I hope. So this is what it looks like now, how it feels. So what has contributed to this logjam? Well, it was a wave of instructions of new properties going on the market and selling really, really quickly, and it hit round about July last year. The first signs were when we saw insufficient valuers available to do the valuations on time. Insufficient surveyors in the marketplace meant that it took up to 3 weeks to even book a valuation. Next, in August last year, we saw the massive wave hit the number of houses on the market actually being sold, so that suddenly, from expecting 10% of the inactive pipeline, so those files that conveyancers had waiting for properties to be sold or for buyers to find houses, we would normally have 10% of those go through. Suddenly it was 40%. You were selling houses like hotcakes. Next, in April this year, we had the double whammy of the mortgage market review. This slowed down the application process so that it actually took up to 3 weeks in some cases to get into your high street lender to even put in your mortgage application. Mortgage approvals then slow down as well, so that now, whereas in 2012 you could get your mortgage off within 5 days in 20% of cases, now at 44% of cases, the mortgage offer is taking up to 30 days. So that's slowing down the market still further and stagnating those larger pipelines. So by June this year, we had insufficient conveyancers to cope with this level of work coming through. An interesting survey I saw recently showed that 39% of conveyancers only had 1 to 2 years of experience. So that's another 61% who have less or more, but generally less. So what have we done, and how does this actually look in real life? How could we be so completely unprepared for this sudden change in the market conditions? Well, you do the maths. We've got 20% increase in instruction numbers year on year. Add into that 40% of those inactive to active cases, and then stick in all that stagnation, creating a 20% delay in the process. So what does that look like? Well, if you consider that your average conveyancer's caseload was about 100 cases of active live transactions moving through the process, and then you add into that the other 100 inactive cases in their filing cabinet waiting to be sold or waiting for buyers waiting to find properties, then you take off the number of completions that you would normally have per month. Now this has gone down to 20%, whereas previously we would expect to see a 30% conversion of that pipeline. Then you need to add in those active instructions that are coming in, so we'd expect to replace our 30 completions with 30 new instructions, but now the market's picked up, so we've got another 20% increase. And then you stick in those inactive to active cases that have suddenly come through, and you're looking at a caseload after just 1 month of 156 cases. So an increase of over 50% in 1 month. So how does that feel actually in a conveyancing office? Well, for some of our busy conveyancers, we can see their telephone stats showing that they're on the phone for 4.5 hours. Then you add on top of that the number of emails they're getting, about 200 a day. So that's probably another 2 hours spent just dealing with emails. And then on top of that, they've got to do the legal work and update all the portals. So you can understand why some of them were working from 5 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. So what do we need when we've got a log jam? How are we going to solve these issues? Well, obviously, when you've got a lot of logs, you need beavers. We needed people beavering away to chomp through all those delays in the industry. So what do our beavers look like? Well, we've got automated valuation models. Last month it was announced by the three of the largest high street lenders that they were bringing back automated valuation models, Santander, for example. There's nothing new about automated valuations. We had them before at the recession, but now they've just brought them back in because the affordability and the prices of the houses going up. So that's going to improve the situation with our valuations. The conveyancers responded to the lack of experienced conveyancers by opening up their training academies and actually putting in good, solid training regimes to move their conveyancers through the process. And it makes a real difference, but it does take time to get conveyancers trained up, not just technically, but also to give them those customer service skills that they desperately need to be able to deal with all the inquiries that come through. So on top of that, we've also seen a rise in estate agent protocols. This is something that Move With Us has been encouraging for years, for their conveyancing panel to work with the estate agents and to agree collaborative conveyancing processes, which can move the transactions through more smoothly. The Conveyancing Association have recently picked up on that, and we've worked with them and some of the other large panel managers to introduce an estate agent protocol to their membership, to ensure that they are looking to work closely with their estate agents and provide information in a timely fashion. And then finally, managing the customer's expectations. This is the biggest difference that we can make in the marketplace. Unfortunately, we are still used to banding about to our customers that the transaction times are 6 to 8 weeks. When in actual fact, the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors' recent survey shows that it takes 10 to 12 weeks. And you and I know in some cases it can take an awful lot longer. So by managing the customer's expectations up front, saying it will take 10 to 12 weeks, reassuring them that this is normal and it's not just that somebody's mucking them about, we manage to keep the chains together and things moving forward much more smoothly. So Move With Us have produced some guides which go out to every single one of our clients to manage those expectations, to tell them what to expect, and to make sure that they're aware of the timescales and the things that can delay the process so that they don't feel that this is a real problem. We know that people will wait an inhumanely long time if they're kept up to date, and it's vital to do this. So what have we got in the world of technology to help us with this process? Well, the important thing about technology, as Jim Collins says, is an accelerator. It's not a creator of momentum. And in the same way, it is a supporter of the delivery of information, but it is not a replacement for customer service. You and I know that the house moving process is a people process and that we need to be aware of that and empathetic to their needs. However, technology can make an awful lot of difference in keeping them updated with the core facts. So what have we got coming? Well, the Law Society understand that this is important and they're bringing out their conveyancing portal. Unfortunately, it was supposed to be out at the beginning of this year, but it doesn't seem to have turned up, and they are expecting it should be here by the 31st of March, which seems fairly specific, but they seem quite committed to it. Interestingly, at the LFS Awards and conference last week, they did a survey of all of the lawyers attending, and 40% of them actually saw it as being a huge white elephant. However, they may be speaking too soon, as actually the Law Society have done something quite clever. They've entered into a joint venture with their technology provider, MasTech, to create the Legal Practice Technologies group, and they'll be working together to deliver this. Unfortunately, the first iteration will not have any estate agency interaction, but they do say there is a strategic intent to include estate agents in the process going forward. So that's not quite there yet. What else have we got? Well, we've got the Conveyancing Association, who again are looking to produce a portal to enable the communication and to make this much more estate agency focused. That's not quite in pilot stage yet, so that's not here yet either. So what have we got? Well, we've got Navigator. Now, I'm not going to sell Navigator to you. If you want any information about it and how it works, then do go and see everybody on the stands today. However, I do want to tell you about the information that we've received through Navigator over the last 12 months, because the stats really do speak for themselves. So in the last month, in August, we saw 23,000 consumer visits to Navigator. This was to either get an update or to upload documents to the secure portal, or to fill in the online forms to enable their instructions to be passed to the conveyancer immediately. So that's 21,000 visits with people looking for updates and to see what's going on. 1,500 consumer hours on Navigator, so they really see the value in this. And they're doing it on the go as well. We've seen a rise in the use of mobile devices to be able to update it, although 62% are still updating on desktops, so probably at work, definitely in their lunch hour though. And it has real benefits. 20% of Navigator users complete their initial forms in the first 48 hours. Imagine that, an instruction going through in that time. And actually Simon will give us an example later of how it happens an awful lot quicker too. And it's not just the youngsters using it. We've seen a pleasing rise in the number of the consumers over 55 using it. 10% of all people using Navigator are over 55. So it's been accepted across the consumer base. So that's the consumers, but what about the lawyers? Well, our conveyancers still see real value in it too. 23,000 visits, each one on average being 14 minutes, updating Navigator with all of the information, communicating with you and their clients, and downloading all the forms to enable the transaction to be legally prepared much sooner. That costs them £270,000 worth of fee earning time in August. So this shows how important they believe it to be. Our next step in Move with Us is to create integrations with case management systems to ensure that we can actually cut down on the amount of time it takes them and to give you real-time updates. And we're already trialling that with one of the law firms. So we'll see that improving still further. It gives a really straightforward visual view to everybody using it, from the consumer through to the lawyers. And of course, through app, it connects in to give you your updates too. So that's what technology is doing. And what does it actually bring as benefits? Well, legally prepared is reduced by 6 days, but days to exchange are reduced by 11 days. And that's because of the artificial intelligence that's built into the online forms. So that if, for example, the seller says that they've extended or altered the property, they're prompted to upload planning documents to anticipate the additional inquiries that will be raised by the buyer solicitor. So it can reduce the whole timescale down. So those are all our beavers working together to try and improve things and to move things forward. An interesting fact about beavers is that it's known as a keystone species, so that it means that they have a disproportionately high effect on the ecology and their local community for the number of beavers. So think about this. In every transaction, there are 2 home movers, 1 seller, 1 buyer, 2 conveyancers, but only 1 estate agent. So by you working together with the network, making sure that we manage our customers' expectations, that we create collaborative conveyancing processes, and that we provide updates supported by technology, we can make sure that every transaction is a positive home moving experience. So my message to you, ladies and gentlemen, today is to be more beaver.